start ramp. The race favourite is Soderquist, the Swedish rider. As we know though, in under 23 racing, anything might happen. Crowd getting ready for our first rider. First rider will be on the ramp, Etienne Touzer. They're taking a little rest. They've been dancing for 2 days now. So our first rider will be Rwanda in the national time trial championships of Rwanda.
umusore nyine umukobwa ashimishije umusore yishimye ahita abona gatasa uzumvisha umuntu avuze gatasa ariko ngo bahise bashwara uzi ko tiktok ari mbi ushobora guhura udukarikira noneho narose uri gutera umusumari ntabwo wigeze wumva ndi kukubwira ngo utera umusumari utera tubwira ngo ubaye narisetse muri iryo joro kandi ejo bundi twegera ndi kukubwira neza ndi kukubwira ngo umusumari uteraho wenda kuryama uri kumva atasawe
drink wayitanze abantu bari bifite aho bagiye mu gihe mwana mugaruke
And our first rider is ready. Etienne Touzer is on the start line. 22 years of age. Very special moment for this rider to be given the honour of starting this men's under 23 individual time trial. A chance for him to roll down the ramp, go out in front of his home crowds on his home roads. He waves to the crowd who are all on their feet in the front. The whistles are ready. And there's the setup on the car that will follow him. So much logistics behind this time trial that you don't really ever see. Every single one of the riders needs a following car, needs to have the name on the front. 61 riders, we've done 50 odds this morning. So a lot to happen for these World Championships. The countdown to the start of the under-23 world title. In a few hours we will know who is going to pull on the rainbow bands. Now the crowd join in as we count down, and Etienne Touzer is now underway. The mascot accompanying the start. He goes through that first corner nice and quickly. Touzer underway, starts sprinting. To the Rwandan rider. Way now, getting himself into his rhythm. Got to be consistent in this time trial. You don't want to go off too hard, but you've also got to make sure you have that consistent speed all the way through as well. So into the first couple of minutes of this individual time trial. Looks good, looks consistent. Gears corners here, pedaling all the way through the turns. The riders tended to use shorter cranks now, so they're able to consistently pedal through every single corner without worrying about touching the pedal or anything. Used to be you'd have long cranks in an individual time trial to gear, that was the thinking. Now it's all about the cadence, pedaling through the corners. Our next rider is about to go from Tanzania, Said Malali. Said Malali gets started. It's outside, doesn't have any of the aero skis or anything like that on. Malali has to get out of the saddle there and sprint and try and stay as low as possible when he gets onto these straight sections. But it's amazing to watch how you know that this rider is already losing time. And this 21-year-old rider, born on the 6th of July, gets himself into the aero tuck. As aero as he can possibly be. And now he'll just spin and try and settle down and enjoy this experience. This is the magnificent Lake Kivu. We'll get our first intermediate split after 10.6 kilometres of racing. That gives an idea of something to follow as we try and see how the riders are doing. This rider looks again like we've seen in the women's racing, really consistent power, looks good as we go back to the race starts. Our next rider should be from Mali. Yes, he is. Timon Demutene. He's at the World Cycling Centre. Gets going. 20 years of age. Sixth in the National Road Race Championships of Mali. He's just ridden the Tour of the Ivory Coast. Finished as the winner of stage number 7 into Sinfra. This rider just rolling that gear over really nicely, 5 minutes into his effort. Let's take a look at this replay. Whoa, 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 whoa. Just about made it through that corner. He's certainly going quick. You could see he didn't know whether to go through in the ski or to put his hand on the side bars. Everything got a little bit out of hand, a little bit of disarray there, but somehow managed to hold it. Said Malali, concentrating well, just trying to keep those hands rested and keep that nose down as much as possible. There is no doubt, there's no problem with saying it, that these riders are at a big disadvantage in not having the aero bars and not having the aero equipment that the other riders have. At least when you look at the Rwandan rider, and this shows the funding The Rwandan rider has all of the aero stuff, so he's immediately at an advantage. This is Ivan Malakwin of Kenya. Of course, there's a famous moment in World Championship history with a Kenyan rider. They got a bit disorientated as the updated temperature and the wind has gone up again, 10 kilometres an hour, 27 degrees, so it's a lot warmer. So this rider came off the start ramp, got a bit disorientated, ended up hitting one of the judges who was standing on one of the corners and knocked him over, crashed himself, and then finally got on his bike and carried on riding. That rider, of course, was Chris Froome, who went on to win the Tour de France. So you never know. Whatever happens here in these World Championships for the emerging nations, there might be a Tour de France winner amongst some of these riders. You just never know. If you want to see that clip, it's somewhere on social media. If you do a search, I watched it a few weeks ago. I'd forgotten. I was commenting that day on Chris Froome and him coming off the star ramp. Looking out across Kigali towards the conference centre and the stadium, our next rider is about to go. It should be the rider from the Seychelles. It is Jadel Gabriel, 20 years of age, from the Seychelles. Underway for Jadel Gabriel of Seychelles. Our mascot getting very much into this drive this afternoon. This Mali kit, very brightly coloured, very easy to pick out. We'll be able to see that in the road races quite easily. Staying to the right hand side of the road as much as possible, just trying to keep this power nice and high. Makes it round that turn. Was the turn that Twizzero had a little problem with, the Rwandan. Nice big gear, not in the biggest gear yet, rolling the gear over nicely. This experience of riding the World Championships is huge for these African riders and a big chance for them to be on the world stage. He's got the aero wheels that he's been able to use here. Doesn't have the discipline in the back. Obviously he hasn't been able to get a time trial machine in Mali. Nevertheless, he looks like a powerful rider. He looks to be riding pretty strongly. This is Aditya Prasetyo riding for Qatar. Prasetyo is underway. Just wondering if the mascot's peaked a little bit early this afternoon. We're getting close to that point then where we will be able to see that first split. That's a beautiful shot, isn't it, of the background, but of course in the foreground is the Genocide Museum and Memorial, which we're planning to go and see during this week, because it's one of the places that here in Rwanda you really should meet, just to see what it's all about and to try and remember the atrocities of a number of years ago. Zere is riding well, pedaling those gears over nicely. Still riding well, isn't he? Those shoulders aren't moving. He's really bolted into that saddle nicely. There's the vital statistics of this climb, 8.6% at the bottom. So the bottom really does hurt the legs. Average grading 5.8. You've got some respite. He's making short work of this climb. He's going very, very well, and he'll set the standard for everybody else to beat when he reaches the top of this first rise of the day. The rider's taking in 3 climbs on today's course. Works his way through the gears. Time trialling is such a difficult discipline that you really have to be so focused on. You have to have time on your time trial bike. You've got to feel like it's part of you. You've got to have that position perfect. The hands on those extensions, those skis, those aero bars, that you just need to get everything right so that the shoulders are in the right position, the head dips down. And he's got a good position. It's not perfect by any means, but it's certainly working for him. It's all about getting the most slippery surface, basically, for the bike to slide through the air. Here's our next rider, about to go. This is Umaru Musa of Cameroon. We've just missed the start, Tekle Alameo. Cameroon rider underway, rides for Espoir de Boa, 11th in the national championships, just rode the national road race actually and finished 3rd there in the men's junior in his career, and in the men's elite he finished 11th, so this rider is young, 20 years of age. Coming up then to the first of our intermediate splits in about 700 metres actually. He's going to see that intermediate time split just up and around that corner. The Akagera National Park. You can see all the different birds here. Nearly 500 bird species around that national park. One of the most significant sites in the region for bird watching. The park also includes the iconic Big Five, and lions and rhinos have been reintroduced and thriving alongside elephants, the buffaloes, the zebras and the giraffes. Also, in 2025, the park welcomed 77 white rhinos. This is the Kenyan rider going, as we go back here to the start of the People's Republic of China rider Li Yu. Fantastic atmosphere. Coming up to the intermediate split, the first rider goes through with an average speed 38.765. Fantastic atmosphere up here at the top of this corner, it really is. So the Rwandan rider, Twizera, is going well, and he's now going to get himself into the next phase of this time trial. Only 70 kilometres an hour. Back to the start then of our next rider. This is Gomalemo Kialotswe. Now to get going, rolls down the ramp for Botswana. Out on the course with Jadel Gabriel of the Seychelles. Stippy riding really conservatively right now. He's riding well, but you can notice just the way he's turning the pedals over. He's got the aero bike, so that's giving him a little bit of an advantage. Really lovely, consistent pedaling style, the way he's riding. There's no pushing, is there? It's all just turning the pedals over really nicely, heading at a nice, easy line. Currently at 40 kilometres an hour. He's going to have to find a little bit more speed than that if he wants to be one of the top riders in the early stages. But certainly on this particular climb, if he could have got himself to the top and then accelerated over the top, he wouldn't lose that few seconds he's just lost by getting out of the saddle just before the top. It's all about keeping yourself the momentum, not losing, shaving off any speed. Twizera continues, wearing number 61, the first rider to go for Rwanda. Our next rider to go is Jakub Marolz from the Slovenian squads. And the start of the Slovenian rider, Jakub Marolz, number 51. And once we get towards the end of this field, there are some extremely fast bike riders. Still consistent, still riding strongly, 16.5 kilometres to go. Our next split will be after 19 kilometres of racing. With 12.2 kilometres to go, so 4.1 kilometres remain until he gets to that intermediate split. Coming up to the main turn now, he's going to turn around and start to work his way back towards the race finish. atmosphere on that corner. Very easy for the Rwandan riders to get a little bit carried away, not concentrate on their performance. Just by the amount of support there is, but you've really got to dial yourself in. As we heard earlier from riders, you've just got to go through the process, be contained in terms of what you are looking to do in every single race. Go through your rituals, go through the start, work out the best way to get the best performance out of yourself.
Telefone yawe iri?
This is the Campaign Against Genocide Museum. Such an important statue that stands outside it. Highlights how Rwanda's people, despite their profound loss, came together to forge the path towards peace, justice and a national healing. A very important educational platform, ensuring that the lessons of the past inspire the future generations. "15 kilometres to go for our first rider. Etienne Twizera. 23 minutes of riding have gone by and he's still riding consistently. Starting to rock and roll a little bit more, finding the gear a little bit tougher. This is our rider from Qatar. This is Aditya Prasatio from Qatar, going up this climb now. Beautiful time trial bike. Spinning well. I don't think there's a lot of speed being carried right now though. But that is a beautiful setup of a bike, isn't it? Our next rider about to go. From Tanzania, Ahmed Said. Every single rider gets a start, don't they? That's the great thing about this whole nation and the way that they welcome people. So Ahmed Said finished third on a stage of the Zanzibar International Sports Festival. Aditya Prasatio right on the front of the saddle, just trying to get himself to the top of the climb. I think he's going to lose a significant amount of time on this Côte de Nyanza. He's doing 16 kilometres an hour pretty consistently without slowing down or speeding up. To the descent now. Here in riders hitting well over 90 kilometres an hour on this descent. Well, this is where our first rider is, coming up towards the second split at 19 kilometres. Going through that first split, he's still the fastest rider. Malak Quen is second for Kenya. He's 2 minutes and 13 down at that point. And Dumia of Mali is third place, 2 minutes 43.49 down. This is André Belianin, a neutral athlete. 20 years of age, getting underway now. He's finished third in the Summer Spartakiad of Youth, third in the National Championship, the winner of the Ishkev's race back in June. He's got about 600 metres to go until he reaches the second intermediate split. This is Tekle Lenio. Going well at the moment for Ethiopia. Concentrating well on the effort in hand. Right for Team Amani. If you've not come across Team Amani before, it's an interesting project. They say they're unapologetically ambitious, with an initiative that aims to incubate, nurture and develop athletes from the East African regions with a pedigree in distance running to transcend a different sport, the discipline of cycling. They've got 3 key pillars of focus: demonstrate performance, create racing opportunities at home and invest in the future. They've got some great partners, as we look here at Etienne coming up towards the line to go through the second split. Going to go through there to set the standard. 4.7 kilometres an hour, so he's found a little bit more speed. So this Amani project, very important in African cycling, taking the best riders from Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda and Ethiopia. And this rider here from Ethiopia, trying to compete in the biggest gravel and road races on the planet ultimately, and showcase what can be achieved where the hurdles of material and access to racing are removed. We've also mentioned the Black Mamba Development Squad earlier on today and during this race. And that's all part of this Team Amani setup. So an important part of African cycling, and doing everything they can to ensure that everybody has a little bit of a chance. They've also invested in the future in a high performance centre, the Amani House. That is in a little town at 2,400 metres of elevation, so they're able to ride at altitude. And that Amani House aims to hoist the flag of cycling by creating a space dedicated to performance and excellence. They've got some great partners. They've got Rafa, POC, Factor, SRAM, Wahoo, Physic, and they're always looking for more partners to just try and give the athletes from these particular African countries more opportunity to shine and actually achieve what is possible. Edward Magunu has just gone off the ramp for Kenya. These initiatives that we're hearing about in African cycling, so important to just try and drive some sort of improvement much quicker by removing those barriers. And we see here in these races that there are riders who are just riding on old aluminium frames, and they haven't been able to get the access to some of the equipment that they could really do with, which would ultimately help improve their performance. You take a rider from being in a time trial like this on a road bike and put them on a time trial bike like this, immediately their performance changes. Immediately they're able to go quicker. Immediately they're able to slice through the air. So all these projects, the links of course with the World Cycling Centre for UCI and others, just trying to find these athletes who can compete at the highest level. Because there's no doubt, when we look at African nations, we think about long distance running, African nations are top of the world. There is no reason why there couldn't be an endurance athlete in cycling here in these African areas, whether it be Rwanda or Ethiopia or Uganda or wherever it might be, that can compete at the very, very highest level in terms of winning a Tour de France, winning a Giro d'Italia or something like that. We've already got in the men's elite ranks Biniam Girmay winning the green jersey of the Tour de France. That is an ultimate game changer. And as he said at that time, the door is now open. He wanted to make the door open for as many riders as possible. Inspiring the future here with these championships in Rwanda. It's a new fastest time at the first intermediate split for the People's Republic of China. Li Yu has gone through with a time of 16 minutes 11:87, which is only 11 seconds, 12 seconds faster than this rider from Rwanda. And it's to pick his line carefully through here. We already saw him have a little problem in one of the turns earlier on today, but he gets safely through there. Heading now towards the final intermediate split. He's fastest at the second one, of course, because he's the first rider through there. But with 4.6 kilometres of racing to go, he will make his way through the next split. This is Danilo Kozaris, riding for Ukraine. Kozaris is about to go, 18 years of age, national time trial champion of Ukraine. 10th in the road race. It's had, of course, too many race days this season, unfortunately. And the last countdown for the Ukrainian rider. This is the fastest rider on the course right now. Li Yu of the People's Republic of China, going very, very well out on the course. Looks consistent, riding one of these incredible time trial bikes. Really big, wide stays on the back of this bike now. This rider, 20 years of age, rides for the China Antimentec cycling team. Just finished 9th in a Chinese race, China Jishi Xinkai Lake Cup. See how wide the forks are getting on these bikes now. Bit of a party going on in that particular area. So he's making his way down now towards the next intermediate split. He's 200 metres from there. He's going to go through there, set the time, and then make his way onto the cobbles for this final rise up towards the top of the climb. Shafik Magalu of Uganda about to get underway. Ugandan rider gets going, and as he gets going, I was just reminded a few moments ago as I was sitting here and thinking about this racing, thinking about Uganda itself. As we just go to the intermediate sprint, Maralt has gone through with the fastest time now. So he's overtaken Lee Yu as the fastest rider out of the course, the Slovenian rider. So he looks like he's starting to pick up the tempo. So I was just thinking about Uganda itself and thinking about how it's linked so closely with cycling. And for many people it might be an unusual way. But of course Uganda was the home of Paul Sherwin, one of our colleagues who we sadly lost a few years ago, and is still so much missed. And Paul Sherwin lived in Uganda, and now his legacy is setting up the Paul Sherwin project. They're doing so much as Lee Yu goes round that turn, just trying to help the Canada local people build skills to participate in the local area. There's a vocational school there, and they're doing everything they can to try and help with the school there, which Paul Sherwin have been so much linked with and trying to help everybody out. The teachers' residence there, trying to help to grow student enrolment and attract great teachers, so they needed housing to live in the area. Ongoing, they're working on the water, the power and the landscaping. There's extreme weather in isolation in that particular area, so water and electricity aren't readily available. And they've already completed the Hoffman family mother and child residence, allowing young mothers to keep learning while they take care of their youngest child. There's also the hall there. And that hall is named after Paul Sherwin's co-commentator Phil Liggett, helping to achieve Paul's dreams that he had for that particular area. So there's the Phil Liggett Hall, a multi-purpose hall to help the community with meals, assemblies, celebrations. And there's the Paul Sherwin Workshop, to offer life-changing opportunities to empower young women in that particular area. At the Tour de France, I had breakfast with Phil Liggett. It's always a pleasure, and Phil gave me a Paul Sherwin project cap that I wore during the Tour de France. And if you want to take a look at the Paul Sherwin project. He's sadly missed, but his legacy and what he did in Uganda lives on. And I don't think, until we went to his memorial service, that all of us except Phil realised just how much Paul Sherwin had contributed to his local area. That's what the fun of these World Championships is all about, that helper at the side of the road running alongside with a Rwandan flag. This rider is only 2 kilometres now from the finish. And while I was thinking about Uganda and Paul Sherwin, and we hear and there about Phil Liggett, as we go back to the race start, our next rider's about to go. This, I think, is Ted Tosavi of Benin. Ted Tosavi about to get underway. The Benin rider gets going. As I was reading that information about Paul Sherwin out to you, and just going through some of that detail of what he's trying to do with the legacy of Paul Sherwin, Phil Liggett is very involved, the family of Paul Sherwin is involved. But of course, we talked about the rhinos a few moments ago, and Phil Liggett is so linked with helping rhinos and trying to make sure that rhinos don't disappear from Africa. The two of them lived in Africa, Phil Liggett in South Africa and Paul Sherwin in Uganda, and Phil is still pushing it all the time. Help the rhinos is what he always talks about. And I'm sure Phil isn't here, but he was in Rwanda a couple of weeks ago. He rode with the president, and he messaged me before this commentary, and I know he's looking forward to watching at home. But also, I'm sure Paul Sherwin would have absolutely loved to be here. He's almost reached the top of the cobbles. The Rwandan rider is going to set the standard for everyone else to chase this afternoon. Just to update you on the intermediate time splits, Marol is the fastest rider for all Slovenia. 15 minutes 56.59 at the first split. This rider is still fastest at 19 kilometres and 26.6. Comes up to the 1 kilometre to go point. Gets into the aero tuck. He'll just wind his way now to the bottom of this last drag up towards the finish. He's being urged along the road then. Such a massive crowd lining the actual run-in here to the finish. He's been brought home this afternoon. Etienne Twitteri is almost there. Got the race radio tucked down the front of that skin suit. Still looks good, still got some power in the legs. Manages to stay in the aero skis all the way to the top of the climb. Let's see what this time is going to be. The speakers urging him across the finish line. Etienne Twitteri is going to be in the hot seat for Rwanda. Don't know for how long, but he's going to be there. Twitteri reaches the top of the climb. Fantastic performance. His average speed will take a look at. It's going to have dropped a little bit on the run-in. 42.9 kilometres an hour for today's course of over 31 kilometres. Twitteri sets the standard for everybody else to chase. Li Yu goes through the second intermediate split for the People's Republic of China. New fastest time, 27 minutes 45.99. His average speed to that point, 41.057 kilometres an hour.
On the possible exception, unique event SC 2025 UCI Road.
For these riders, this is a massive opportunity, a massive stage for them to ride on. Marol is rolling along nicely, the Slovenian silver medalist. Looks strong, certainly got a good style on that bike, really high risers on the front. Out the saddle now and then, just trying to keep the momentum going forward. Always difficult to keep that momentum, keep like feeling you're on top of the gear and it's not fighting you. Slovenian rider, we go back here to the rider from Benin. Savi, third international Benin Road Race Championships, 20 years of age. He's having good results. Rode the Tour of Cameroon this year, finished 13th in the youth classification. Started his season back in January at the Tour de Sahel in Benin. This is Usama Mamouni, riding for Algeria. The Algerian squad are moving very quickly up the African Tour. There's so many different tours in cycling, the African Tour, the Europe Tour. So there's different opportunities for nations to try and work their way up the rankings. But the Algerians are certainly making a good move up the standings in the Africa Tour. This is Ted Tosavi. The arrival then of Giacomo Ralph to the second intermediate split. Now he had an advantage of 13 seconds on Beliamin at the first split and 15 seconds on Li Yu. Now the first intermediate split, it looks like he's going to have accelerated quite considerably, Giacomo Ralph. See what his advantage is going to be, because he's coming up to that intermediate split. Any pedal rev now. There is our split with the Tissot watch. He's going to come up to that point and he's going to have extended his lead. He's now 32 seconds ahead of the second place rider, Li Yu, of the People's Republic of China. Ted Tosavi in those red shoes, spinning over nicely. And you get a little bit of respite. Just trying to keep the pace as high as possible. This is this magnificent Volcanoes National Park. Thanks very much for joining. I hope you're enjoying the coverage as we watch the early starters in this under-23 Men's World Championship. If you'd like to be in touch, please feel free. @Tab across this way and get me on social media. Don't forget to follow at UCI_cycling. The last riders to go today, the top 20, they're the race favourites. We'll see how the early starters, who's going to stay in the hot seat for however long. It looks like Giacomo Ralph, the Slovenian rider, might be the rider who ends up being in that hot seat for a fair amount of time this afternoon. He's not too far away from the third of our intermediate splits, and then we'll just see what sort of advantage you've got. Tosavi working well on this climb, sitting right forward in the saddle, little accelerations now and then to keep on top of the gear. The Benin rider's been looked after this week by Jeremy Ford. Coming up to the top of the climb then is Lotsway. Botswana reaches the top of the climb there. 12.1 kilometres from the finish. It'd be interesting to find out whether the riders who don't have the aero bars and everything, whether they get on the start line and they believe they're a disadvantage or whether they're just thinking, I'm at the World Championships, this is a big stage, I want to do the very best I can. I'm sure it's the latter. Because riders don't tend to think about what things are going to cause them issues, they just try and do their very, very best. Definitely here, he's at a disadvantage because he can't go downhill the way that they are doing on their aero tuck positions. We've heard riders 90 to 100k an hour on this section. Riders going up to the right-hand side. It's now going to drop away back down towards Kigali. just has a little look down, checking the gears. Doing nearly 60k an hour on this particular section. When he gets to the bottom of this descent, it will really speed up. Our next rider is about to go. This looks like Komach. The Slovenian rider about to go. His countryman is doing very well out on the course. No real surprise that Slovenia have amazing skin suits and all of the added aerodynamics on that skin suit, as you would imagine. It's amazing what happens when you get 2 stars and a few others to add on. The amount of work that Roglic and Pogačar have assisted with in that country to bring it to the very, very top. And now they demand the very, very best. Pogačar maybe a little bit more than Roglic. Roglic tends to ride. Pogačar wants all the best equipment possible to go as fast as possible. Roglic is just talent, isn't he? Let's just have a look at the intermediate splits. 10.6 kilometres. Maralt is the fastest through there. He's fastest at 19 kilometres. This rider's going well. Belianin is heading up towards the second intermediate split. And he's in the ballpark. He's close to Maralt. And he's coming up now to set his time. He was 13 seconds down at the first split. He was in second place and still holds that second place. So we'll see how Belianin does at this second intermediate time. It looks like he might go through there in second place. Which he does. 26.5 seconds is his deficit. The third place rider at 32. This is Mansur Basembe, riding for the team of Kazakhstan. Bronze medalist in the Kazakhstan Championships. Nice crowd gathering here at the finish line. A few riders starting to approach the finish now. The rider from Mali is just about to finish. Diamutene finishes second fastest, 7 minutes down. So the Rwandan rider stays in the hot seat. Heading out over the water.
umukobwa yitwa Diane yabaga hari kuri wa mukecuru agutabara.
Lake Kivu. It's one of the few large African lakes where it's completely safe to swim. There isn't a risk of hippos or crocodiles, so you can swim, kayak, boat and paddleboard in that part of the lake. Lovely boat rides, pivotal part of Rwanda's infrastructure. The next rider is about to start. This is the Turkish rider, Ramazan Yilmaz. Yilmaz is underway. Here's Tekle Alameo coming up towards the finish line now, the Ethiopian rider. We talked a little bit about him today.
almost 1.5
Good little rise up there towards the finish. The fastest rider still in the hot seat from Rwanda. Second place in Kenya, Anna Quen. He's 5.5 minutes down. So this rider looking to put himself into the second place. Looks like that will be the situation. Alameo is going to be second overall in this individual time trial in the early stages. 41.7 kilometres an hour compared to 42.927 of the current leader.
ari ku mwanya wa kabiri akaba arushwa umunota umwe n'amasegonda 18.
Lovely slow motion shots of Tekley making his way towards the finish. Out on the course now with Andre Balianin. Concentration is high as he tries to keep the nose as high, as slow as possible towards those hands. Riding on one of the Astana bikes. When I watch the riders coming across the line here at the finish, it's interesting to watch their reaction as they look at their time on the gantry above the road. On the Rwandan rider, Wazere, looks like he might be about to be beaten. A little smile on his face. Well, he's been in a hot seat. He's enjoyed his time there, but it looks like Li Yu of the People's Republic of China is going to beat the time of the current hot seat. And the arrival of the next leader. Li Yu is approaching the finish line now, rolling that bike all over the place, just trying to get the last little bit of speed out of it. He knows when he reaches here, as respite can get into the aerotruck. Push for the finish. Li Yu is going to go into the hot seat as the fastest rider, 43.6 kilometres an hour.
First time for you.
Nice shots, Li Yu.
Meilleur temps pour Youri, 41 minutes, 56 secondes.
Andre Balianin coming up towards that intermediate split. Our next rider is about to go. Another Rwandan rider. This is Samuel Leonkuru. Big reception for Leonkuru. Doesn't get much better than that, does it? Great rider, 22 years of age, just finished 6th in the Tour of Salala. He also won the Under-23 Time Trial Championship of Rwanda. A useful bike rider, 7th in the Hero Cycling Cup as well. Some Turkish rider out on the course. Turkish rider going well. Li Yu will go into the hot seat. This is the finish of Jakub Marot of Slovenia.
Jersey, yes he is. That's the jersey of the Slovenian man who celebrated his birthday yesterday, since yesterday. He is 20 years old, and now he is going for
This rider trying to put himself into the hot seat. He's ridden superbly so far. He's the fastest at all the splits.
He's going out of the saddle.
Jakamarolt of Slovenia sprinting now for the finish line. It looks like he's going to eclipse the time of Li Yu. This is a fantastic performance by the Slovenian youngster. He's just going to be inside that minute.
Really?
Well, he hasn't faltered at all on the cobbles on the way up to the top of this rise. Jakamarolt of Slovenia is going to set the standard, but needs to be beaten now. Jakamarolt finishes fastest time into the hot seat, 44.3 kilometers an hour. That's impressive. Jakamarolt now takes the place of Li Yu, who I don't even think got there. Time for a fizzy drink, a bit of sugar, try to recover as quick as possible. We're out on the course now with Taral Israfilov of Azerbaijan, only 18 years of age, the Azerbaijan junior champion in 2024 and also in 2023. Looks to be going well out on the course so far. Here's the current standings. Marolt leading, ahead of Li Yu. Tuzera is in third, Alan Mayo in fourth. There's the makeup of the top 9 riders in this individual time trial. Back to our BK Arena, and the South African rider is about to go. This is Joshua Dyke. Joshua Dyke out on the road now. Mohammed Aziz Dalai, one of the Team DSM's former bikes. Still very smooth and consistent the way he's riding right now. Keeping momentum going forward, spinning well, looks good. We're on this climb, 8.6 at the bottom, so it feels really hefty when you first come into the bottom of this climb. Then things get a little bit easier as you make your way up. In reality though, 42 minutes for the winning time at the moment. Jakamarolt making his way now to the hot seat, take up position, see how long it lasts.
Slovenia, Pavlos, Azusa, Li Yu, Manasi, Branapuni Veneno.
The Yungve National Park. There's an amazing canopy walkway here. 60-metre high suspension bridge which gives you sweeping views across the forest. There's also in there a zipline experience. You can soar through the treetops, and there's some amazing hiking routes such as the Sumo Waterfall Trail with powerful vistas and a really incredible bit of wildlife, orchids, ferns, bamboo groves, pretty impressive. It's now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So just to update on the various time splits, so it's Maroldt at the first split from Bissum Bay. He's first at the second split ahead of Belliani. It's Maroldt ahead of Liu at the third split, and he is ahead of Liu in the hot seat at the finish line. Our next rider coming to the next split, the immediate, this is intermediate 2. This is Jim Potcam. Back to number 36 here, Mohammed Lai. And to the starts of our next rider. Lawrence Leroy of Uganda rolls down the ramp, gets himself into this individual time trial. Lawrence Leroy rides for this Team Amani that we were talking about a little while ago. This is Andre Belli. He's ridden well. He's not going to be as fast as Maroldt, but he's in with a chance here of taking some sort of position for at least a little while.
From Cameroon.
Andre Belliani sprinting to the top of the climb now, trying to stay as aero as possible. Quite difficult when you are under this much pressure and you are suffering this towards the top of this rise.
And over to the next rider is
Belliani is almost there.
Andre Belliani on his last 18 meters.
Nearly 1 minute behind now. He's kind of lost pace as the race has gone on. He finishes third fastest time so far. He went through the first split, only 6.9 seconds now. Second split, 26. Then he really lost time. 52.6 seconds. There's a few riders saying the end of this course really makes you blow up. You have real problems with it.
So let's have a look after 12 riders at the finish. Top 12.
12 riders have finished. 35 riders out of the 61 have taken to the course. This is our next rider about to go. This looks like William Piat of the team of Mauritius. Piat is underway. This is Ahmed Saeed. Ahmed Saeed sitting now down, trying to work his way up the cobbles. So difficult to keep this momentum going forward, isn't it? You can see it just hits the cobbles a little bit. Here's the arrival of Bissum Bay, who is riding well now, and at the intermediate split 1, he's the second fastest. We're seeing how he does here at intermediate split number 2. Looks like he's going to be in the ballpark of the top rider so far, Maroldt. The rider behind not allowed to do that. Garamuddin Alamarayam, the Ethiopian, not allowed to sit on the wheel like that. Under the rules, Kazakh rider is just going to ride away. Second fastest time. The Ethiopian rider, I'm sure, is going to at least get the experience of what it's like to ride. Oops. I think the wind is getting a bit stronger, but that was a little bit of a twitch. Next rider to go, Paul Fitzger of Germany. Gets himself going. And Paul Fitzger produced something this afternoon. This is Komac, the Slovenian rider, 20 minutes into his ride. Current situation, Marolt, Besenbey and Belianina, the fastest riders on the course. Komac at nearly 70 kilometres an hour. Timo Godialo finding these cobbles really tough. Looks like he might have ended up on one of the neutral service bikes actually. So Shimano may have had to help him out on the course. He's riding on one of the blue Shimano neutral bikes. So I wonder if he's had a problem. We saw him earlier on, he looked pretty strong, didn't he? And his position is certainly different on this bike to what it was. Much lower, isn't he? No doubt that this is hurting, it will be hurting the knees. He just won't feel like he's got as much power as he did on his own bike. But at least he's been able to take a bike and try and finish. Tiamalco Diallo reaching the top of the cobbles. He'll be pleased when this is over. If he had a puncture or a crash or something like that, we haven't heard any major updates on him. But it just shows you the neutral service team out there, very, very important for these championships. Shimano has been the partner of these World Championships for many years. They always have their team here, a team of mechanics, doing everything they can to try and help everybody. And now you'll start to feel like he's got a little bit more pace in the legs. Tiamalco Diallo, we're getting down to the last few riders to go. Still a wonderful atmosphere on all the climbs. Ukrainian rider firing his way up this rise, catches the Mali rider. Ozaris is going well. Back here in the starting area. This is Alessandro Borgo, rider for Italy. Well, the Italian rider gets out on the course now. His teammates, he's one of the favourites for this competition. Borgo, one of the Bahrain victorious development team. as Kozaritz reaches the 1 kilometre to go point now. Borgo has been a useful bike rider so far in his career, only 20 years of age. He's won the Young Gent-Wevelgem. He's also finished second on the stage of the Giro Next Generation, so a rider we should watch out for in this individual time trial. Finished second on that stage of the Giro d'Italia Next Generation into Aquaterma. Here's the arrival of Kozaris of the team of Ukraine. Starting to look pretty good, and he just got himself to the finish line outside the time of Yakima Rolls. Rolls average speed 44.341. You've got to be really shifted to win this title now this afternoon. Lena Kozaris of Ukraine, top of the climb now, gets out the saddle, last little bit of pain, pushes forward, tries to get himself to the line now to set the standard for himself. He's done well. The Mali rider is just behind him, but he caught on the climb. Kozaris is going to be around about 2 minutes down. The arrival of Danilo Kozaris, 5th fastest time so far in this individual time trial. 15 riders have now finished, 40 riders have started out of the 61, 25 riders are still out on the course. So still in the hot seat, Giacomo Rolls. He is still sitting there as the leader of this individual time trial. Here's our current situation. Marolt with 42 minutes 13.10 and average speed 44.3. Li Yu in second, Andrei Belianin in third. Jadian Neves, 19-year-old from Trinidad and Tobago. I had a little chat to him the other day. He was looking forward to riding this time trial. So let's see how Jadian Neves goes. The aero bar's on his normal road bike, so at least he's able to get into that aero tuck. Here is Adam Gross. Virus has just started. Adam Gross of Slovakia gets going now. 21. Where's number 21, Adam Gross? Cisco Dulovic of Poland coming up to catch the rider who started 2 places in front of him. So he's catch Jadian Neves now. Goes straight past him as though he's standing still. Jadian Neves just has to concentrate on his job in hand. out on the course. Hector Alvarez of the Lidl Trek Future Racing team. He just started a few moments ago. I think Gadulovic has just gone through the first split with the fastest time. So this rider is flying now. 42.5 kilometres an hour. He's faster than Maralt. Basembe is still in third. Maralt is still leading at 19k and at 26. This rider, tall, powerful, looks good. Let's see whether he can produce one of the fastest times this afternoon. At the moment, 21 years of age. Has ridden for the Vendée team, their club team. Was with them for 2 years, the Vendée team. Maybe looking now for to be in a shop window for a possible contract with a bigger squad. He's ridden the Tour of Poland this year. He's ridden a number of different big races. Tour of Turkey he rode as well. So he's quite consistent in his performances. He's starting to get a little bit noticed. Comes from Warsaw as he pushes himself back in the saddle a little bit. Very kind of dynamic style, trying to be as far forward in that saddle as he possibly can. This is Gadulovic at the second intermediate split now. See how he does. He's going quick, isn't he? He's found even more speed. Well, this is a really impressive ride. This might be the surprise of the entire afternoon. Well, he goes through and he is absolutely shifting. Gadulovic, 44.6 kilometres an hour, 1 minute 40 seconds faster than any other rider. This is a little unexpected, and we just get an update here that Jarno Guido didn't start. The Belgian rider. There was a little bit of a rumour overnight he wasn't going to start. This is Zach Marriage. Zach Marriage gets going, comes from Adelaide in Australia. Been riding for Team Bridge Lane and then 711 Click, which is a Philippines team. Goes out of that situation, turns left, winner of the Tour of Benin in 2025, Zach Marriage. Rode the Tour of Britain recently. Just ridden the Tour de l'Avenir as well, and rode the Tour of Portugal, where he finished 6th on the stage in Mondin de Basto. Winner of the stage of the Tour of Benin, stage number 6. He took that. Zach Marriage, let's see how he does out here on the course. Just to bring you up to speed then, at the first 2 splits, Gadulovic leads. He hasn't reached the 3rd split there. Maralt has taken the fastest time so far at 26.6 kilometres, and Maralt is in the hot seat just opposite me on the stage. Zach Marriage settling down. Gadulovic is only 10 kilometres to go. Picking up some speed, isn't he? Is this rider going to shock everyone this afternoon? There's no doubt he's on great form. You just see the way he's riding. Lovely style on the bike, spinning out, massive dinner plate on. This is Zach Marriage, we'll go back to him. He's into the early stages of this ride. He'll just be kind of calming down the body, getting himself relaxed, dealing with the pressure, dealing with the breathing which will be hurting. As we go back to Mansour Bisambe. He's not going to be the fastest rider here, but he's the second fastest at 26.6 kilometres, catching the rider in front of him. So it looks like Hannah Mariam might be the rider just in front of him. As he sprints, gets out the saddle, bit of acceleration. And it's the Ghana rider who he is catching. Also a rider who's way started in front of him, Emmanuel Sessi. So Mansour Bisambe. The last little dregs of energy coming out now. Bisambe is almost at the finish. The finish of the Kazakh rider, Mansour Bisambe, fourth fastest time, great performance by him, lost some time on the running. Some riders are losing a fair amount of time in that third and final phase. The next rider is on the start round. This looks like Jonas Walton of Canada. Jonas Walton is underway. As for Project Nation on Racing, he's finished third in the Corona de Nación in his career in 2023. That's a great time trial. Second in the Canadian Time Trial Championships. Zach Marriage leads the bike over flat out through that turn. Starting to see some really high speeds in some of these corners now for these riders. Marriage, that's the progression on the right hand side as to where he's heading. Out to the tea plantations. Here's the current standings. Giacomo Rold leads 43.4 seconds ahead of Li Yu, with Belianin in third place. Marriage leaving that bike into the right-hander. Looks strong, doesn't he, this afternoon? He's putting some speed up. Certainly not shifting off a lot of speed when he goes into these turns. He's obviously had a recon of this course carefully because he seems to know the turns very well. It's all about knowing the contours, the turns, the twists that are in here. A bit of like a story ahead of you, you've just got to flick through the chapters. This is Usama Abdelhammouni, sixth fastest time.
At this moment, position 6. 1:44.
On the course with Zach Marriage. Let's see what he's doing when he gets to the first of the intermediate splits. New second fastest time at the first intermediate split for Fietske of Germany. Since the arrival of Joshua Dyke, the South African rider. riding up towards intermediate split number 2. See how he does when he gets there. He's a couple of minutes behind Gadulovic, who is riding an exceptional time trial so far. Josh Dyke goes through. 5th fastest time, very respectable time for the South African. This is Mohammed Al-Mutawi of the UAE. Now he's improving all the time. UAE, of course, will host the World Championships in a couple of years' time. Mutawi is riding for UAE Team Emirates Generation Z. He rode for the Abu Dhabi Cycling Club before, 21 years of age. Back here with Zach Marriage, 8.5 minutes into his ride. But Mohammed Al-Mutawi here in the top 15 riders in this individual time trial. He's had some wins this season. He won the Dauphin Classic. He's the national champion of the road race and the time trial, and the Asian champion, under 23 as well. 6th on a stage of the Tour of Sharjah, which was an individual time trial. So a good rider, Mohammed Al-Mutawi. Born in Dubai. We'll see how he does on the course. So Gadulovic is the fastest rider at 10.6. Hector Alvarez has just got through with the 2nd fastest time, 41.773 kilometres an hour. And Paul Fitzger's in 3rd place. You look at the big arena there on the left-hand side. We've enjoyed being inside there during this couple of days of racing. Another South African rider starts, Henry Cross. Zach Marriage onto the climb. Henry Cross comes from Johannesburg. He's out on the course now. Zach Marriage sprinting up this climb. The time to beat at the top is 14 minutes 57.23. At the finish, it's Yakima Old who still leads out of Lee Yu and Melianine of the neutral athletes team. Gadulovic leads at all 3 splits. He's coming up towards the finish line now. Yakima Old is 2nd overall at 2 of the splits. Hector Alvarez is now making a bit of an advance out on the course. Zach Marriage continues with his advance on this particular course up the hill, 22.2 kilometres to go. He'll reach the split with 20.6 to go. The Argentinian rider, Mateo Caliman. Now, can he produce something here this afternoon? There's some people who say this is the rider. Pan American individual time trial champion, national time trial champion. He was disqualified from the Pan American Youth Games recently. Didn't finish the National Road Race Championships, but before that, 2 wins. This is Comanche coming to the finish now. His teammate is in the hot seat, Yakima Old. Emerald leads as his teammate finishes, and his time is going to be 9th fastest so far.
Right now, top 10, position 9 at the moment. And this is then all.
Here is the rider who has been setting some incredible rides along this course. Gadulovic may well surprise this entire field. He is absolutely flying. This rider was not on the names of anyone's list, but somehow he has produced one of the most exceptional performances. His average speed third split, 49.2 kilometers an hour. This rider is going to put the time of Rwanda rolls by what, 2 minutes by the looks of things. Mateusz Gadulovic, this is an exceptional performance this afternoon. This Polish rider is about to be in the hot seat, and it could be for a long, long time. Mateusz Gadulovic, what a ride by this 21-year-old Pole. Smashes the time into the hot seat. Gadulovic leads for how long? This could be a long, long time in the hot seat. That's incredible. His average speed, 46.941 kilometers an hour. This is going to be a ride that's going to be hard to beat. Polfitska comes up to the second intermediate split. He's going to be nearly a minute down on Gadulovic. Just over a minute down by the looks of things. Polfitska, second fastest time. Zach Marriage coming up to that intermediate split. We'll see how he's doing. Once he gets there, we'll be able to get an indication of how well this rider has ridden so far. We're only about 100 metres now from that split. You can see it just in front of him. And he'll go round the turn, then for the first time in a while, he'll get some respite. The rider in front of him has just gone down the descent. Zach Marriage not on par with Gadulovic, but then nobody is. Zach Marriage comes up to the intermediate split now, goes through. 5th fastest time for Australia. Start of the next rider for Switzerland, Jan Huber. Jan Huber gets started. Mohamed Al-Moutawi, Asian champion, UAE champion. Tucked in, head right down as you can see. It's got a nice style, absolutely drilled on that bike. Look at the way he's set up. Riding on one of the UAE Team Emirates bikes as part of that Generation Z squad. There's no doubt at some point one of these UAE riders is going to produce a World Championship medal performance. I have no doubt about it. The reason why is the setup they now have in UAE. It is beyond comprehension just how much investment this country has made in world cycling and how much they are trying to develop a rider or riders who can compete at the very highest level. You go to facilities they've got in Abu Dhabi and you will be blown away. Al-Moutawi continues with this momentum. See whether he has got the power up this climb, because that's where he will suffer. He's really showing great improvement recently, and he's starting to look good out here on the course. So just to update, Gadulovic is currently the fastest rider at every split and now in the hot seat at the finish line. To the start of the next rider. This is the German, Louis Liedat. The top 10 riders now starting. Zach Marriage looking for a little bit more speed. This is the next Rwandan rider, Samuel Nyankuru. Nyankuru comes to the end of this time trial. He would enjoy the atmosphere, being cheered up by so many fans from around the side of the roads. Nyankuru is almost there. Nyankuru finishes now fifth fastest. That is a great performance by Nyankuru.
Volkswagen, tunabashimira cyane dushimira cyane kandi the official suppliers
Somwese kandi ahora kuri TikTok akora amarayi ugasa kuzamuye ari
Alvarez coming up to the second intermediate split. He's gone through the first split, second fastest time. Hector Alvarez of Spain reaches this point with what is going to be now the second fastest time. The Italian Borgo has gone through with the third fastest time to that point, 58 seconds down, so it's Gadulovic, Alvarez, Borgo. Omotawe, really low position on those side bars. No bar tape on them at all. So current situation at the first split, Gadulovic, Alvarez and now Walton of Canada in third place. At the second split, Gadulovic, Alvarez and Borgo of Italy. At the third split is Gadulovic, Marolt and Dyke of South Africa. Here's the finish. Gadulovic, Marolt and Lee Yu is still in third place, but I think things are about to start to shuffle around a little bit. Spectacular performance by this Rwandan rider. Nyankuru, fifth fastest so far in this individual time trial. Out on the course now with Callum Thornley, the British rider from Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe Rookies. He's now moved for next season into the Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe World Tour team. He's the British champion, stage winner in the Sibiu Cycling Tour. He's just finished 12th in the Tour de l'Avenir as well. He won the individual time trial under 23. He finished 10th in the Giro Next Generation. He was third in the individual time trial on day number 1 in that Giro Next Generation. A lot is hoped for him this afternoon. This is another medal contender, Lorenzo Finn. Lorenzo Finn gets underway.
Germany at this year's Nationals. They won the bronze medal.
This is the arrival of Joshua Dyke of South Africa.
Joshua Dyke from South Africa.
Joshua Dyke, let's see what the time is going to be. He's well outside the time of Gadulovic, but he has had a good intermediate split along the way. Joshua Dyke of South Africa searching for the finish line. It arrives now. Third fastest time. Great ride by Joshua Dyke.
Position good right now. Right behind Malone. Where's the ball got it top? 5. In the lead, Mateusz Geitel.
Callum Thornley, well, he's being chased by Lorenzo Finn, who's also a member of Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe Rookies, so they're on the same equipment. Gadulovic might be about to shock everybody, judging by the way that no one is getting anywhere close to his performance. Callum Thornley working well. Next rider to go will be the USA's Cole Kessler. Cole Kessler about to get started. He's got some good support here. Rides for the Legal Track Future Racing Team. Do you think that might be family? 22 years of age, national under-23 time trial champion. He just rode the Tour de l'Avenir as well. This is Amatawe. Well, he's not in the ballpark at the top of the climb, and I thought that's why he might suffer. 18th fastest to that point. He's not enjoying the first bit of this particular rise. Back here with our Australian rider, we've been following him all the time. Zach Marriage. At the moment, it's riders who we weren't expecting in the current medal situations. This is Seaman Simon of Ukraine. 5th fastest time. Pushes a Rwandan down by 1 place.
So thank you very much and have a nice day.
Congratulations once again.
Thank you, and thank you to everyone who showed up at the first today and cheers for us. It's really awesome as a rider to see so many people out there.
The British rider Callum Thornley, big gear on that bike. Keeping the momentum forward. There's a lot of hope in the British team that he can give them something this afternoon. But he needs to find some speed to match Gadulovic. His average speed at that third split, 49.2 kilometres an hour. Borgo's gone through there with the second fastest time, 47.884 kilometres an hour. So things may well be about to shuffle around a little bit. Callum Thornley, though, looks strong, doesn't he? Every pedal rev is very specific, the way he just keeps those pedals rolled over. Every bit of equipment is perfect, the number tucked in that pocket. Head just below the shoulders. Zach Marriage seems to be struggling a little bit now. Zach Marriage come out to the intermediate point 2. That's a nice shot of that intermediate split point 2. You're not really seeing the sort of back view of that for a little while. It gives you an idea of just how tough this climb is. Zach Marriage is losing time. The time of Gadulovic is still standing. Is it going to go all afternoon? Zach Larridge at the split point, 6th fastest time for the Australian. The race can still be won on that final rise. This is the French rider, de Comble. This is Maxime de Comble of France. All smiles from him. There is a little bit of chat about whether this rider could be the rider to beat if he produces a big performance. As for Groupama, their continental team, but he will move to Groupama FDJ for next year. Second on a stage of Au Grand Camino, second on general classification in the Alpe d'Huez Tour, 5th in the Tour de l'Avenir. He's a very useful bike rider, 20 years of age, the Frenchman. Back with Callum Thornley. Only 4 more riders left to start. Thornley trying to keep the nose right down. Paul Fiedska comes up to the finish line. He's been setting some good times out on the course.
So we're ready for the next riders at the finish line.
And it looks like this last rise has taken it out of him. Zadulovic still leads and will still lead after this performance. Paul Fiedska arrives at the finish.
Lawrence at the finish and right behind him. From Germany, Paul Fiedska.
So Fiedska is nearly there.
Paul Fiedska aus Deutschland auf den letzten 150 Metern.
Paul Fiedska reaches the top of the climb. Let's see what the time is going to be for Paul Fiedska as he arrives at the finish. Fiedska, second fastest time.
1 minute 29 back. 1 Minute 29 zurück.
This is Jonas Walton coming up to the intermediate split 2. This is a good performance by Jonas Walton. So Jonas Walton reaches that point with what's going to be the second